So what are the numbers? How many part-times or adjuncts
There are 165
are there
full-time
supposed to
and over
be?
400 adjuncts.
Right, and P.S. Hi, she's like my only full-time professor. I love all my I love my professors, and 2 of them are adjuncts and come in with great stories because they work in high schools. So, absolutely, have no problem learning from one, but I'd like to get somebody to teach me. When a department chair tells me you aren't going to get out of here in 4 semesters, don't even count on it. What is that about?
The problem with the occupational therapy program is that they look for professors, but not even professors. They look for people with experience in the field to teach the field. Right. Not necessarily that they're professors, because it's really hard for an occupational therapy, have a master's with an occupational therapy degree and then go on to getting a teaching degree, because teaching doesn't pay. So therefore, they're looking for instructors that can commit themselves part-time. So not necessarily in RCC, but other schools, they really doesn't have full-time instructors to teach the program. They're basically going by, how do you explain it, 1 clock, 2 o'clock at least.
The other thing, because I worked with some of the people who used to teach here at NOT when I worked at Good Sam in the psych hospital, you're getting a lot of people who they are full-time occupational therapists, and they come here to pass on their knowledge and give you guys hands-on experience from what they're doing. I also know, I don't know if you're aware, one of the full-time faculty members in the OT department actually lost her daughter in Virginia Tech massacre.
Yeah, there's a scholarship for her. I did read about her.
And, so they lost her from that. Another one had to leave because her husband and daughter were ill. She was someone I knew. She was part-time, but she was very good. The other problem with the OT department is the state changed the requirements for OT. And that has thrown not just RCC, but also Dominican and Hunter and the other even 4-year universities that offered OT programs kind of into a tizzy, and they're in the process of reorganizing because the state licensing changed so dramatically. Yes. And what the requirements you need for a CODA versus somebody with a 4-year degree versus somebody with a master's degree. I teach lifespan, so I get a lot of occupational therapy students in my class, and I had one who graduated RCC with a 2-year degree. She went on to a 4-year school to work on her bachelor's and then master's, and I ran into her somewhere and I'm like, how's school's going? And she's like, I'm having to start from scratch because everything got changed. And it threw everything in a tizzy. And I think that you're coming in the midst of all of that change.
You're the only one who's been able to explain that to me thus far in about a month, including the chair of the department. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are you saying that the associates would not be?
It's not that the associates is not going to be enough. It's what courses you are taking and what you want to do with that CODA now. What you can't, because. And this goes back to when Pataki, we're talking 3 or 4 governors ago. This goes back to when Pataki, because Pataki changed a lot of the licensing for psychology, for occupational therapy, or at least it started the process. And what has happened is, what you used to could be able to do with a CODA, which is what people usually get licensed for after an associate's degree, has been changed. And so now some of those things that you need a bachelor's, or you even need a master's, because the idea was that they're trying to bring it up to a higher educational standard. And so it's kind of throwing everything out of whack.
They just grandfathered the occupational therapy from the bachelor's to the master's, and as CODAs, we were hoping that they would do the same.
That I don't know. I haven't been following it as closely, but I do know, because when I was working in the psych hospital with CODAs, that there was an issue with some of them as to what was going to happen to their positions and would they be grandfathered in. And so this has been going on for like 3 or 4 years now. So there's this whole process. Sorry.
I love all the information I'm getting, and I'm loving how open everybody is, and this conversation is flowing beautifully. But we really want to narrow our focus right now. What can we do to improve the adjunct office, and what can we do to change the evaluation? That's our key focus right now. That's what we really want to do.
What do you mean change the evaluation?
Well, to make it so that, Corey had something he wanted to say.
I was kind of on this track before that we had a little derailed.
Sorry.
Hey, listen.
It's okay. Say what you have to say. We want to hear it all.
It was good talk. But no, like, I feel like the adjunct professors that we have had that were terrible, okay, are terrible on a fundamental level, where even if you know you are getting evaluated and someone's coming to look at you, there's only so much they can do to make themselves presentable for said evaluation. I refuse to believe, one in particular, that if evaluated, the evaluator would have seen no cause for alarm. So really, what my thought process was really, it would be at all possible to make said evaluations possibly more frequent, more stringent in terms of what is looked at and how it is analyzed. Because we have the evaluations, and they're good. They're basic, but they're good, and they'll get the job done. But I mean, it also is a part of accountability in terms of the adjunct professor. As a former manager myself, you got to hold your employees accountable, and if you have bad evaluations on a sequential level, actions have to be made. And I think from what we've all seen is we've all had at least one where clearly there's a break in the chain somewhere in terms of of that whole process.
I mean, I know we're talking about adjuncts, but don't you think then that full-time professors should be held accountable to the same standards? And the fact that someone has a PhD doesn't necessarily mean that they are better,
You're absolutely right.
that they can actually impart the information better or as well as an adjunct.
You're right.
But there are requirements. If someone is untenured, they must be observed once, twice, sometimes as many as 3 times per semester until they are tenured.
Okay.
After they are tenured, they are supposed to be observed, let's say, once a year.
I mean, physically observe someone coming in,
Physically, someone coming in.
chairperson
Now,
or something.
the operative word is supposed to be.
All right.
Before tenure, they're very scrupulous about
Professor
it.
Frank, this is the tenure track people.
Yes, I'm talking about tenure track people.
Not normal
Now,
adjuncts.
for adjuncts, the name of the game is you're supposed to go in and see them. Now, I know some of us are scrupulous about going in to see the adjunct. I must say, I don't go in to see every adjunct every semester, but I do go in to see every new adjunct at least once, and if there's cause for concern, I'll go in again. Now, with me, it's okay. There may be 12, 14 people in our department. I can do this as chair. As I said, there are some departments that are huge. With the huge departments, there is news for good thoughts, which is that as of yesterday, we were told by the vice president, there are going to be, what do they call them, curriculum coordinators in the various departments. What they really are assistant department heads.
That was going to be one of my suggestions.
That's what we
actually.
were going to.
Oh, they're ahead
into.
of you,
Wonderful.
but it's not in every department. I don't get one.
Why is that?
Because
you're
it
good.
costs money.
So
They
what
gotta pay.
what determines which departments get it and why they do?
The bigger the department, the more faculty and adjuncts they have, the more likely they are to have assistants. There's also a matter of release time. The department chair gets release time for serving as chair of the department. The amount of hours, I get 1 class worth of release time. Some other department chairs get 2 or 3, or in some instances, 4 classes of release time. I'm not sure about 4. I know 3. Now, that is one of the differences. The secondary difference will be these assistants or discipline coordinators. And then they will be given 3 credits release time. So they may be more available for doing this. But if in fact you were all supportive of the idea that an adjunct should be observed at least once a year, and this, I don't know, Keith, is this something the union would want? Or just don't stir up the hornet's nest?
Oh, I don't want to answer that. I don't know. No, I mean,
How about
here's
students,
the thing. At CUNY, we're observed like our first 6 semesters. Then we cannot be observed.
Cannot?
In other words,
Wow.
Right, in other words, after a certain number of semesters, somebody says they want to observe us, we have a right not to be observed. After we've been there, I think it's